Our guests today are three extremely popular YouTubers from across the world, with a combined subscriber base of over 85 million. That's 8.5 crore. The three are almost founders of their own mini media empires, built from bedrooms and backyards, fueled by algorithms, and now watched by billions. And they are part of a trillion views universe, which is now as much career path as cultural currency. In 2024, YouTube clocked over 2.7 billion monthly users, and its creator economy, that is worth over $250 billion by some estimates. So today, we have Mark Rober, who engages in what can be called STEM storytelling. Mark's videos merge STEM concepts with wild builds, data-driven experiments, and savvy storytelling. From world record Nerf guns to squirrel-proof obstacle courses and glitter bomb traps for package thieves, his projects are wildly creative yet deeply engineered.
I'm Mark Rober, and for over a decade, I've been making YouTube videos to showcase what it means to think like an engineer.
Second, we have Brandon B., who calls himself a Hogwarts dropout. Brandon makes videos which are an intersection between fantasy, physics, and loads of VFX. Think ice cream cones coming out of the Eiffel Tower, or trampoline jumps that land one straight onto the surface of the moon. But also, think the best breakdowns and tutorials on some of Hollywood's most cutting-edge VFX work. In his own words,
making big videos and sort of bridging that gap between Hollywood and social media and sort of bring those two worlds together.
And our third guest is Mayo Japan, who makes cross-cultural culinary content. And when I say cross-cultural, I mean India and Japan. Think of a Japanese girl binging on golgappe in the streets of Delhi and speaking in absolute chaste Hindi. Cute? Totally. Popular? You bet.
नमस्ते मैं हिंदी बोलने वाली जापानी लड़की हूँ.
In this episode, they talk about their journeys and challenges. We talk about how the space of content creation is constantly evolving. We talk about new businesses and revenue streams, and we talk about AI. Is it a threat or an ally? By the end of this episode, we hope to give you insights on what this space will look like in the coming years. It's Friday, the 2nd of May. With Diya Rekhi, I'm your host Anirban Chaudhary. This is the Morning Brief. Guys, very warm welcome to this very special conversation on the Morning Brief podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Mark, I'll start with you because you are, for want of a better phrase, the senior most YouTuber among the three.
Okay.
You've, I think, been doing it for 13 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your journey. How did a NASA engineer become a content creator?
I mean, it was sort of accidental. And back in 2012, people couldn't even make a career, let alone make money off YouTube. But I had an idea for a Halloween costume. It's sort of a Jugad Halloween costume. Yeah, it was my first Halloween costume with 2 iPads. Made it look like you have a hole in your body, and it went kind of viral. And I was like, well, I have more ideas than this. So since then, I've just been basically making one video at a time, just once a month. And so I quit my job at Apple when I had like 10 million subscribers. That was 5 years ago. And now the team has like 100 people. And we have 68 million subscribers or something.
Damn, what a resume. NASA to Apple to one of the world's biggest creators.
To
Insanity.
YouTube.
Right. Mayo, coming to you. I mean, what really sparked this curiosity and interest when it came to, merging and sort of bringing together two completely different cultures, right? India and Japan. So how really did that come about?
So my journey to Indian Hindi started when I chose to study Hindi as a major in university. So my father used to climb Himalayan and he loves India. And then when I had to choose the major in university, I didn't know what to do in my life. And then my father suggested me to study Hindi and I didn't know anything about India at that time, but I thought, bahut maza aayega, So I chose Hindi and then I got the job, which was boring, the corporate job, the consulting firm. And then I started making YouTube videos on the side so that I don't forget Hindi. And then it became viral. And then now I'm a full-time YouTuber. That's a short story of my life.
Right. So when did you start content creation then?
Yes. So that was 2017. At first, I was teaching Hindi language grammar to Japanese audience. It didn't go well. So I started also teaching Japanese and Japanese culture to Indian audience. And that was
went well.
2017, 18. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine.
That's
How long did it take you to learn Hindi? Just curious.
Hindi, actually, it took only 1 year. So
gonna say.
one year for the daily conversation level because Japanese and Hindi are very similar in structure. So for me, English is more difficult because the structure is different. I have to think first and then speak. But for Hindi and Japanese, you can just, translate word by word and then the sentence is made. So it's easy for Indian person to learn Japanese and Japanese person to learn Hindi. So you can try to.
Brandon, your story is also interesting. I was reading up a little bit and I sort of figured out that this was something that you were doing. Like you were finishing school, coming back and sort of watching YouTube videos where you figured out how, visual effects were being created and so on. And from then to now being this full-fledged content creator who sort of does these incredible videos, right? I want to get a sense of, what you really went through when you were sort of bringing in this kind of content, right? What were the challenges you faced and how has the journey been?
I think I was part of the first generation of kids that grew up watching YouTube, and I'm curious to see how much of this leaned into you guys as well. But I remember back when I was in school watching YouTube content, you were deemed a bit of a loser for watching it. YouTube definitely didn't hold the same prestige it holds today. I almost remember hiding it from my friends, the fact that I was obsessed with YouTube. So I used YouTube mainly to teach myself how to create visual effect videos. I think the first channel I set up isn't my current channel. It was probably in 2010. The channel I've got today started in 2011. I would upload these fun, cute short form videos of before short form was a thing, just me and my brother in the garden, and they'd hit a grand total of about 2 views. I did that for a solid 3 years.
That was you and your brother.
Yeah.
Those 2 views, yeah.
But we were consistent. I guess sometimes my mum would sprinkle them there.
Yeah, that's a 3 view bang.
It was a real grind. Eventually, after long enough, I thought, you know what, let me get some professional skills under my belt. I went actually traditional first, jumped into the world of TV for 4 years. Because I'd always grown up watching YouTube content, the goal for me was always YouTube. And despite being in the traditional world where I guess a lot of my friends and family around me were suddenly very proud that I was working on these big red carpet events and very glamorized prestige coverage. And in my mind, I was like, no, YouTube is where I want to be creating. So eventually after I'd learned how to use a camera and my editing skills got a bit better, I jumped back into the wild west of YouTube and I guess the rest is history.
How much of a difference did COVID really make to your journey and the spike you saw? I mean, from 2 views to now thousands and millions of views, right? What was that journey like and how much of a role did COVID play?
So I'd say there are 2 things at play. COVID's, of course, a humongous aspect, but I think the bigger thing for me was the launch of shorts and short form content becoming native to YouTube. That was the real big unlock for me. It's no surprise that one of my big inspirations and still one of my favorite creators is Zach King. And I mean, I watched him in his Final Cut King era, but then after that, through his Vine era, when I saw shorts get launched, I was very excited because it felt like another opportunity like that to tell these short form, very visual stories. So that's what kind of birthed this arc, alongside COVID and people, I'm sure, consuming more on their phones. But I think it was the launch of short form content coming back that enabled me to be able to create this content.
Okay, tell me something. This is such a global space, right? I mean, there is a lot of local content, but your content is completely global. It cuts across cultures and countries, especially yours, Mayo. How do you make content land? I mean, when you're making, for instance, Mayo, when you're making content about Japan and India, how do you get a watcher or a viewer in Brazil to get inspired or attracted to it? And this goes for you too as well.
Probably my answer won't be really good for this podcast or YouTube thinking, because for me, as I said, I started my YouTube channel because I was passionate about Hindi and I didn't want to forget and I wanted to improve my Hindi. And then I'm making content about India because I love India. I love Indian food. I have passion towards the things that I make content about. So it's more like that. So I might not be able to answer your questions perfectly, but that's how I make
No,
content.
you did. I mean, it just happened. That's the nature of the beast, I guess. What's your favorite Indian food?
Pani puri.
Okay.
Yes.
You will have a lot of it in Bombay.
Yes, but I'm sorry. I like Delhi pani puri.
Oh, really?
Because I lived in Delhi for 1 year, so I have a special heart in my heart. Like,
okay.
Special place in my heart. Sorry, my English is not so great, but yeah, I love pani puri in Delhi.
Right, wonderful. Mark, so you started STEM storytelling, if I may call it that, before STEM was a thing, right? I mean, now it is not just a subject, it's a geopolitical tool, it's a huge discourse. Did you know it would become so big?
No, and I think, just like she just said, it's like you just kind of follow your passion. It's like, this was what was interesting to me. And like what I do too is like, I call it like hiding the vegetables. So it's like, I'll make a video about a 15-ton Jello pool, and that will cut across cultures as well. And people see that it's a clickbait title thumbnail. And when you click on it, before you know it, like you're learning about the scientific method or chemistry, right? So for me, it's more about just like making an engaging sort of concept that would cut across cultures. And then I sneak in the science before you realize what's even happening, right?
Dude, that's crazy. You've just given me a light bulb moment. I remember one of your videos about ball bearings.
Yeah.
And it was actually like how to skate on this like infinitely frictionless surface.
Yeah.
But actually it was like the engineering behind how ball bearings work.
I snuck it in. You ate
Genius.
some broccoli. You ate some stem broccoli. You didn't even realize it, Brad.
Love it.
Do you guys talk to each other as content creators?
Yeah. We've known each other for like 2 years now.
Yeah, but also like do these meetups.
Yeah, that's true.
I was going to ask you if you're going to the one in next month in San Fran.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's one of the really magical things about YouTube is just the collaboration between creators. And yeah, I think I'm sure we all kind of feel this way. There's a little bit of just we're finding our way in the dark. There's no rule book that exists for YouTube. And it's just a case of us getting together and being like, hey, I've tried this. Is this also working for you? And somewhere along the lines, we start getting a bit of traction and we're like, cool, well, let's carry on in this direction and we all evolve together.
Along that vein, we're seeing so much disruption thanks to AI. And as a community, what do you feel about AI and its impact on the work that you do? And this, maybe we can start off with you, Brandon.
Yeah, so we're using a ton of new AI tools. I think AI is both scary and extremely exciting. Scary in the sense, us as visual effects artists have, for the past decade, been teaching ourselves these very hardcore technical skills that within a matter of maybe 12 months, all of those skill sets are kind of changing and becoming a little less relevant and important to know. I think the bit that excites me about all these new tools is when I decided that I wanted to start telling stories, I didn't go, I really want to learn hardcore software. It was just the means to get to where I wanted to go. The next generation of filmmakers and creatives suddenly can start straight from storytelling, not have to get through this big technical hurdle and can start at storytelling without having the big PC, without having spending years trying to learn software, just using all of these incredible apps that are now on a phone. We live in a world where there are more phones than toothbrushes. We can create these incredibly high spectacle videos and tell awesome stories.
But does it sort of concern you also? Because now your barriers to entry, like you said, have reduced considerably, right? But what about for a creator like you? Does that also increase a lot of competition? How do you view that? Because you're going to see a lot more, say for instance, content creators who earlier wouldn't be able to do the work you're doing similar work, maybe not to the same scale. So does that mean you need to kind of really scale up, or how does it work?
Great question. I love it. You're 100% correct. The answer is yes. There is about to come far more competition, saturation of content. I think it just means for us as creators, we got to continually evolve and level up our game. I think the same thing that we're saying is scary is actually, when you think about it, really exciting. it means these hotspots of where we see storytellers come up from, which was traditionally Hollywood, maybe New York, London, and these like major regions around the world. And the only reason you were able to kind of have that come up was because of the access you had in the areas. Now that these tools are everywhere and the largest distribution platform in the world is free, i.e. YouTube, we're about to see some of the greatest storytellers in the world come up from the most random places all across the world. And I think that's beautiful.
Right. Why don't I bring Mark in here? Because your videos are sort of an intersection of the traditional sciences and tech as well. It'd be interesting to know what you think of AI and how frequently do you use it, actually?
A little bit on the ideation. Sometimes if I'm stuck writing a script, I ask, Gemini or an AI tool, like, how would Mark Rober explain the quantum effect to an 8th grader? And what it comes back with is like, it's pretty damn good. like, wow. And then I take that and I include it in my videos. I think we tend to overestimate technologies in the short run and underestimate their effect in the long run. I think in the near term, it's a little bit less disruptive. It's more like 10 years from now. It's going to change a lot. From my standpoint, though, I'm the same way. Like, my goal is to just reach as many brains as possible on like this idea that science and engineering could be fun, accessible, engaging, get people addicted to that aha moment of learning something new. And I think AI has a ton of promise there of just cutting through and figuring out how to get an individual person for their brain to really wrap their head around some of these fascinating science concepts. So, we're looking at doing some stuff in the classroom, like sort of teaching and making it free, and AI will be a big part of that.
Right, amazing. No, what you said about the dichotomy between overestimation and under, I think that's something that ails so many AI-first companies in the world, Let's come to revenue. Let's come to the business of it, All your content is not cheap. It's very cost intensive. You make very heavy, VFX heavy videos. Yours entails a lot of travel, of course, and yours would be, a lot of props, etc. What revenue streams are sustaining such, cost-intensive videos? Is it only ads, or are you looking at new streams? How is this space evolving? Maybe can start with Mayo.
So for me, YouTube, I don't depend on the YouTube revenue. The main source of income is promoting Japanese company brands to Indian audience, because that's my branding is, and that actually pays. My brand is introducing Japanese culture to Indian audience. So it makes sense for me to promote Japanese companies, and I'm happy to do that because those products are the things that I grew up with, and I confidently can promote those things. So yeah, that's the mainstream of income, and I'm happy about it.
We'll take answers from each of you. This is a very important...
So mine's it's nice because I think there's a nice balance between the three of us. So I create short form content, which typically so far, because Shorts is still in its infancy, is a little bit harder to monetize directly from. So I've set up a separate production company called Studio B, and we work with brands helping them create content. So we've kind of got this like commercial agency project where I'm able to work with these on these really awesome larger scale productions. Sometimes they're actually TVCs, and all the way to the other end of just fun YouTube videos. And we're able to use that revenue to kind of pump it back into my own content as an investment to be able to make even larger scale content. A lot of it as well is brand funded, but for me it's all about finding that balance between those two sides so I can just pour it all back into the content to make them each better.
Yeah, and then for me, it costs me $1 million a month just to keep the lights on. So with the employees. So on the YouTube channel, maybe half is brand deals, half is AdSense, but I run that channel just to break even. So we spend about $12 to $15 million a year and we make about that much. But really, then we advertise Crunch Labs, which is like a company I built where kids get these boxes that come to their houses every month, and they build a really fun toy and learn the physics of how it works, right? And so really at this point, the YouTube channel is there just for me to advertise Crunch Labs. And so that's the main source of revenue.
Right. Just to sort of take off from some of the things you all have mentioned, it seems like brands clearly are the largest sort of source of revenue. In your case, of course, it's a little bit different.
But it's my own brand.
It's your own brand, absolutely. But, a lot of creators in India who we talk to routinely have spoken about how they are looking to be more to have more autonomy over their monetization and are looking at more experiential, in-person sort of experiences. And I wanted to get a sense on that from all of you. Like, this could be a book reading that they do with their followers in, some hill station, or a pole fitness camp in Vietnam. So, sort of catering these experiences for followers. Is that the way forward? Do you see that?
I mean, I think it cuts through the noise. There's just so much content online you could consume that anything you could take to the real world is valuable and feels novel, and AI can't do that, right? Yes. Like it protected from AI in some sense. The only downside, obviously, is it doesn't scale. As an American, I'm like, does it scale? How are you going to scale that? And, it doesn't scale as well as some of the other things, but I think it adds a lot of value.
Yeah, I think I haven't created any events yet, but there are so many India-Japan events happening in India, and there are so many like Japanese festival in India, and I go there and I do the stage performance or do the talk show. So I think those kind of events are very fun. As he said, those are the value from going forward. So I'd love to manage those kind of events too. And those are the things that I'm passionate about. Again, I always think about the passion. If it's informative, valuable for people, and then, if we can provide Japanese food on the festival, that would be something that you cannot get online. So I think, that would be really interesting for me too.
But the nature of your content is such that it entails a lot of presence in the physical space as well, which is perhaps not true for you, Brandon. So what is that offline-online dichotomy?
Yeah, it's really, I always describe myself as the world's worst real-life magician. Give me a computer,
you're a Hogwarts
3 to 6
dropout.
weeks, then great, I've got it. But in real life, nothing. I completely agree with what both you guys are saying. Like meeting in conferences and going to the real life events are incredible. There is, of course, the scale problem. I think potentially the solution to that is, I'm obsessed with live at the moment and seeing what we're seeing a lot of either YouTube streamers or even Twitch streamers are doing. We're seeing like mega success made with these huge talents that blow up in the space of maybe a 1 to 2 year period, which is insane. And I think it gives that, even though it's not literally IRL, it feels kind of IRL because it's in the moment and you're conversing with your audience. So I think that's an interesting space. It's a little bit of a struggle for us with our visual effects content because everything that we're doing, we need a while to create. But I think that's a nice kind of workaround where you still get to communicate with your audience and have that real feeling. So it kind of feels tangible.
Have you guys ever been tempted to see, there is a lot of lo-fi content also, like really raw content that's going viral. So this whole thing between depth and virality, have you ever been tempted to not put in so much effort, invest so much in the videos and make just, the run-of-the-mill shorts or reels that would bump up your followers by, say, a few thousands, but, never compromise on quality?
Yeah, I will do 30% of our shots are on like a smartphone. Like we try and keep the content, even though it might cost $500,000 for a video, we keep the shots and it feels more like backyard, right? Because it feels more authentic than like a TV show with, 20 cameras. So there's an element of like intentionally keeping that. But having said that, like it's really hard to go viral on YouTube without a month of planning and like a decent amount of money these days. No longer can a cat playing the piano be like a viral video. And that's, by the way, that's not YouTube's fault. That is just the audience. Like we've seen the cat video now. So people want novelty. They want something new. And generally that means today, it just takes time and money to make it. That's one of the benefits of short form is it is, at least right now, it's more novel to make simple things. It may get to a point where there too, the bar is really high, right?
I think we're approaching there now. I think even what you could post in 2021 on Shorts just doesn't work today.
I agree.
And I think the bar is rising. Not as far as where long form has taken it. I imagine we'll just follow the same trajectory.
On the way, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the constant evolution that all of us creators constantly keep having to make and go, great, how do we one up the last one and just continue that ladder?
How exciting is it for you as an opportunity that YouTube is sort of really doubling down on being part of your living room experience, right? And moving away from just being on the phone to being something that you watch on TV. How much of an opportunity is that for all of you as creators?
Mark?
Yeah, it's great for me because, that Jello pool I talked about looks amazing on a 65-inch TV, right? Like my stuff is very visual. And kind of accidentally, all of a sudden, we're seeing year over year the watch time on TV is doubling and tripling. And that's just YouTube's investment there. So to us, it's great, especially if it's a sit back and watch. Like my content works really well if you just like sit back for 20 minutes and watch. But even shorts, though, like do really well on the TV.
Crazy.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, there's actually a good chunk of our shorts viewerships on TVs now. And I mocked it for so long and I went, cool, I've got to try it.
Yeah.
Dude, the first time you try watching shorts on a TV, it will blow your mind. It's actually so engaging.
Yeah.
So, can you give us a percentage of how much your views are coming in from TV now versus?
I think it's 30% maybe.
That's a huge. That's a pretty big.
And then it's like it's maybe a third between like mobile, desktop, and then TV.
It's kind of full circle, right? You've progressed to mobile, but then again you're coming back to TV. So
Is India number one country in your audience, or other countries?
So my most views, if you include shorts, India is the most watched.
Yeah.
For all
Why
of you?
I'm here.
Yeah, same as me.
Really?
With Mayo, of course.
No way.
Yeah. But I think my audience watch more on smartphone rather than the TV. So I think it depends on the creators. And if you ask me, so I think I'm different. I mean, I'm an old school, I would say, content creator. And I make content more on iPhone. Also, my editing is simple. I still edit a lot of videos by myself. So unlike him who has 5 million employees, but
6 million.
About 6 million. But I think my team is rather small, and I prefer that way because I think there are many kinds of creators, and I like to see everything by myself, do everything by myself. And for example, if I'm making travel videos, I don't want other people watching me while doing like vlogging. I like to be alone and be myself, and not really, commercialized kind of high quality video, but just the video that I make, who I am.
Tell us your favorite India story.
That's a very difficult question. So whenever I come to Mumbai, I stay with my Indian family in Mumbai, and we actually got connected because of my content. So when I did a Pinga dance, so my homestay family mother saw it, and then she happens to be a choreographer of Kumar, the Padmavat, and then she messaged me that she wants to teach Kumar, and then I made content, and then since then I'm staying with her whenever I come to Mumbai. And that's like the biggest part of India, that they are very welcoming, and then they offer me so much love and food and everything, and I owe them, but they never take money from me. So they say like, you are family, you stay as much as you want.
By the way, I second the food thing. I haven't even been here for 24 hours and I've eaten so much.
Yeah, they never stop feeding it. So you have to learn how to say bus means like stop. Otherwise they keep feeding it and you're going to gain like 10 kilo when you
I'm on my way there.
Yeah.
Right. Mark, are we going to see you doing some sort of glitter bomb thing in India as well?
Yeah, we have done some glitter bomb stuff in India, in Kolkata, with some of the scam call centers, which I know everyone in India hates the scammers as well, right? So it's been a little while since I've been to India because I wasn't sure if the people who got glitter bombed would be mad at me. But I was assured I have a good security team here. I'm okay. So,
Nice.
So could we expect some videos though?
You're just have to wait and see. Can't tip my hand.
Okay, finally, one word from each of you that could describe the future of content creation.
I'll go with mainstream.
Nice. Mark?
I mean, optimistic. And I have things to say about it, but I only got my one word, so you have to fill it in.
Right.
I would say
You have the last word.
passion. I would say passion, because 5 years ago, making video was not easy. There are so many obstacles. You have to learn something, how to shoot, how to edit, but now anyone can make videos like very easily. The editing will be probably automated. So I think the passion, what you make, how you communicate with audience, that would be the most important thing. So I'll try my best to.
And authenticity as well, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
authenticity,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. Mark, Mayo, Brandon, this was lovely. Thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Brief.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much.
Thank you.
That's it for today. You were listening to this episode on The Morning Brief. It was produced by me and Vinay Joshi, sound designed by Indranil Bhattacharjee. A new episode of TMB drops every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday on a listening platform of your choice. The external clips used in this episode belong to their respective owners. Credits are mentioned in the description.